כאלוהינו, אין כאלו-הינו, אין כאלוהינו, אין כמושיענו. מחלקנו, מחדיינו, מחלקנו, מחמושיענו, מחלקנו, מחדיינו, מחלקנו, מחמושיענו, אין כאלוהינו.
Hello everyone, this is the next segment in the Superflous Kaddishes. And today, after establishing that you don't say Kaddish after davening just because you're saying the words after אין כאלו-הינו, because you're not learning it, you're just saying it, the question is that you're supposed to end davening with Kaddish. Maybe because it's the last thing we say in Nusach Ashkenaz, or the second to last thing we say in Nusach Sfard and Svaradim. Maybe you should end davening with it. Indeed, the Magen Avraham posits, שלעולם לא תמצא קדיש בלא פסוקים שלפניו, אם לא אחר גמר התפילה. You'll never find the Kaddish without psukim, except for at the end of davening. Connoting that at the end of davening, indeed, we should say Kaddish, and the Kaf says, "V'omrim Kaddish atom achar Aleinu." You say Kaddish after Aleinu, like we already established. V'lefi divrei Ari, tzarich lomar kodem Aleinu. But according to the Ari, you should say it before Aleinu, namely like the Nusach Sfard, and not after Aleinu. So first and foremost, if you want to finish davening with Kaddish, either the Kaddish after אין כאלוהינו and not after Aleinu, like the Sfaradim do, or the Kaddish after Aleinu and not after אין כאלוהינו. Machzor Vitri from the base medrash of Rashi says, Pitul Maktoret Ya'amod Na v'Omer Kaddish. Indeed, after Pitul Maktoret, after אין כאלוהינו, gets up the poor orphan and says Kaddish, ve'Kaddish se eino ela lechanech et hatinakot. It's only there to educate the people to say Kaddish, to educate the young children to say Kaddish. It's not part of the 7 requisite Kaddishes of the day. So according to the Machzor Vitri, if you have in shul young people and you want to educate them to say Kaddish, good idea. Well, most of the time, that's not the people saying Kaddish. People saying Kaddish are the ones that unfortunately are older, or are Yatomim themselves, are orphans, and they lost a father and a mother. And therefore, I'm not so sure that this would, in any which way, obligate the Kaddish after אין כאלוהינו. And indeed, the Maharshal, he says as follows. Why do we say, Amar Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Xanina, etc., etc.? Ani ragish lo nomro kol ikar. I don't even say it in my minyan. Mishum de lo nitkan lomar, mishum Kaddish. The only reason we say it is because of the Kaddish. And as we said last time, you shouldn't say Kaddish unless you say an agada and a pasuk. And therefore, anu shenohagim acher עלינו לשבח. אנו שנוהגים לומר עלינו לשבח קודם קדיש, אם כן, אין אני צריך לומר, וטוב לדרגו, כדי שלא לאחר מלשמוע קדיש, בפרט מאחר שהציבור ממהרים לסיים במרוצה. Comes along the Maharshal and says, it's only there for the Kaddish, and therefore I don't say Amar Elazar, Amar Xanina, because I already said Kaddish Nusach Ashkenaz after Aleinu, so there's no reason to say it again after אין כאלוהינו. And he even adds, it's a good idea not to say it, because many people vote with their feet. They're out the door by then. At least for Aleinu, they're still there. And indeed, the Bach brings his Maharshal and says that the Fimin Agenu, according to our minhag, Shomrim אין כאלוהינו Kodem Aleinu, even though Nusach Ashkenaz says the Bach, I say אין כאלוהינו before Aleinu, like Nusach Sfard, אין צריך לומר החגדתא דרבי אלעזר, דלא אומרים קדיש אחר עלינו. You don't need to say Amar Elazar, Amar Xanina, תלמידי חכמים מרבים שלום בעולם, because we already established, according to the Mishnah Berurah, that if you say 3 psukim, you do not have to say anything else. So since we're going to say psukim in Aleinu, there's no reason to say that passage. So ultimately, you could say אין כאלוהינו, Pitul Maktoret, etc. When you get up to Amar Elazar, Amar Xanina, go right into Aleinu and say Kaddish after Aleinu. The dafka leminhag hakatmonim. Shayu omrim achar Aleinu אין כאלוהינו, like Nusach Ashkenaz. They say Aleinu and then אין כאלוהינו with Shir Shayom in the middle. Hayu mesamim b'hachagadata. Kedei lomar acharei Kaddish. So ultimately, according to the Bach, if you're going to say Nusach Ashkenaz, Aleinu, and then Kaddish, then you should say the Kaddish after אין כאלוהינו and add in Amar Elazar, Amar Xanina, so there'll be an agada with a pasuk before the Kaddish. But if you're going to do Nusach Sfard, then you save time. First of all, you don't have to say Amar Elazar, Amar Bichanina. And number two, you say one Kaddish. After En Kelokeinu and Pitum Aktoret, right into Aleinu, Kaddish after Aleinu, which according to the Ramah is obligatory. Rabbi Levi Vosner came along and said, ultimately, the idea is to end the davening with Kaddish. And he says very distinctly, Hayu omrim rak Kaddish echad l'shnehem. The minhag l'sayem ba'aleinu, kaya Kaddish al kol haniskar, v'omim Kaddish achar aleinu. If you daven nusach Sfard, you say Kaddish after aleinu, not after En Kelokeinu Kaddish D'Rabbanan. And that covers the En Kelokeinu, and that covers aleinu. U'leminhag shomrim En Kelokeinu achar aleinu, nusach Ashkenaz, where you say aleinu, shir shel yom, and then En Kelokeinu. If you want to end with Kaddish, im kain, tzarich lomar tלמידי חכמים רבים כדי לסיים בקדש. In other words, in order to end davening with Kaddish, you have to say two Kaddishes, one after Aleinu and one after En Kelokeinu. Well, therefore, according to this, namely the Maharshal and the Bach and the Shevet HaLevi, if you daven Nusach Sfard, you save time. Shir Shel Yom, En Kelokeinu without Amar Rabbi Elazar, Amar Rabbi Chanina, take that out and say Aleinu and Kaddish. If you daven Nusach Ashkenaz and you say Aleinu first, then you're going to have to say that Amar Rabbi Elazar, Amar Rabbi Chanina, and you're going to say two Kaddishes. Well, accordingly, on Shabbos, when Nusach Ashkenaz and Nusach Sfard unite, everyone says En Kelokeinu and then Aleinu. En Kelokeinu. Don't say Amar Elazar, Amar Bichanina. Aleinu, one Kaddish. So we've already saved a Kaddish according to Nusach Sfard. According to Nusach Ashkenaz, maybe not, but we did save it on the longest davening of the week, and that is on Shabbos.
Ein כאלו-הינו, ein כאלו-הינו, ein כאלו-הינו, ein כאלו-הינו, mi כאלו-הינו, mi כאלו-הינו, mi כאלו-הינו, mi כאלו-הינו.